Brought to you by...
I think it's finally time for the found footage genre to take a turn. Too long have we suffered through dull and aimless attempts to recapture that Blair Witch magic, and been left with countless empty and aimless projects that get dumped out on streaming platforms. Every now and then, one comes along that causes a bit of a stir, but often its fire quickly gets snuffed out by the next big thing. And with Halloween Ends hitting this year, among a few other major releases like Dahmer and the new Argento film, I don't think any indie ignitions are going to be able to hold the eternal flame for very long. However, I hope I'm wrong. I don't know. You be the judge with this Deadstream movie review. Holy shit, friends. There may still be hope for the found footage subgenre yet. When a disgraced internet personality tries to win back his followers by live streaming himself at an abandoned, haunted house. When he accidentally unleashes a vengeful spirit, his comeback event becomes a fight for his life.
Shawn, I want you to...
In this recently released Shudder original, we open up with an abrasive introduction to our protagonist, Shawn Ruddy, a YouTube personality disgraced by his actions while creating content. He prides himself in his jackass-style channel, where he performs challenges that are designed to test his willingness and fears, and does so with an obnoxious and in-your-face personality. To me, this immediately screams as a comical look at YouTube content creators in general, showcasing all of the basic tropes that we have come to know, such as those basic flashy openers, calls to action like smashing the like button, subscribing for more content, and clicking that little bell to be notified about all future videos, which, if you feel so inclined, you should totally do. There is a purposeful extra level of shittiness during these opening moments that adds to this character's overall online aesthetic. Things like how props in the background are handmade, cheap, or held up with duct tape. Even the lav mic he wears is just duct tape to his chest. He even comments on the fact that you can always fix anything with duct tape later on. His lighting is terrible. The excerpts we are watching are incredibly basic and simplistic. I loved the smaller details, like his obvious DIY body rig for his GoPro, built out of PVC, and the entire film is supposed to be shot entirely on GoPro cameras. This film is clearly trying to comment on content creators as a whole, even introducing us to the platform Livid, an obvious stand-in for Twitch. This movie, in its first few minutes alone, makes so much fun at content creators trying to so desperately make money with their content by advertising various products, merch, live streams, music, and more on various other platforms. Which actually reminds me, this video is sponsored by Movie Palette. Movie Palette is an eye-catching and unique piece of artwork that holds a deep secret. Your friends and family will be intrigued by the fascinating story that each Movie Palette has to tell. Movie Palette is one of the most unique forms of movie-related art that I have ever seen. Each piece is handcrafted with the highest attention to quality and detail. Movie palettes consist of stripes of colors carefully chosen by their team of artists. Each stripe represents a color of a particular scene in a movie, and each stripe is put in chronological order to give you a perfect representation of your favorite films in one beautiful piece of artwork. The effect is stunning and accurate. As its secret is revealed, Movie Palette is sure to become a conversational piece as you try to guess which colors represent which scenes of the movie. The best part about these for me is that it's a piece of art that showcases the visual look of a film through the captivating color palette that makes it capture our imaginations. Not often do we see the color of a film so beautifully celebrated, which is why ETF has partnered with Movie Palette to bring you this exclusive offer. Head on over to moviepalette.com, pick the movie palette of your favorite film, and use promo code EMBRACE15 at checkout to get 15% off your purchase. That's EMBRACE15 to get 15% off your purchase from Movie Palette. And speaking of the color and the tone of this film, it definitely aims for a more vibrant, somewhat colorful, black comedy horror vibe, leaning far too heavily on that comedy at times, with these extremely cheesy moments, like having our protagonist scream like a girl when startled by a fucking coat rack. I found myself wondering if these moments are purposely overplayed to make him more of a unlikable character. Throughout his investigation of the aptly named Death Manor, he does his due diligence and lays out the history of the house in elaborate detail, down to the recounts of others who have seen spirits within its walls, fleshing out the horrors that we can come to expect him to encounter along the way. I love that the film includes some 90s handycam footage that is worked in from previous ghost hunting teams. The performance by our protagonist is what brings this one down a little for me. I understand that he is playing up the comedy angle of the narrative to a heavy degree, but his overly scaredy-cat antics and douchey banter makes for a very unlikable protagonist that I don't care to follow for more than a few moments. His combination of douchebag and bitch baby is incredibly hard to enjoy, though I have to admit that his character is very different than anything else that you would typically find in a found footage scenario. Throughout the film, Shawn takes the time to make some stupid-ass decisions again and again, running into closets instead of getting out of the house, and my personal favorite, strapping a GoPro to a Slim Jim, and even taking the time to name it Beefy Cam before using it to see out a car window. Something I did quite enjoy about this one was the fact that once the haunting-style stuff did kick off, the movie took a sharp turn into a sort of found footage Evil Dead territory, complete with demonic spirits that speak in doubled voice effects, and creepily spider crawling around the house. They even do some funny things in various scenes like nose picking and crotch biting. I thought it was a nice touch that as we progress further in this story, we learn that the spirit controlling the house is obsessed with gaining influence on others, which when combining it with a protagonist whose goals as a YouTube influencer is the same, it's a cool dynamic. The film even takes notes from Evil Dead 2, giving us a sequence where Shawn is fighting possession, nearly succumbing to the influence of Mildred, and another where he stabs a goat with a needle full of holy water, causing it to explode chunky yellow goo in his face. He even winds up in the end of the film with a duct-taped hand. Obvious nod to Ash. And as a lover of the Evil Dead franchise, I have to give Deadstream a pretty strong A. This one started out as one that I definitely didn't enjoy, but as it went along, it ended up winning me over, which is not something I can say many films are able to do. I highly recommend this to those of you who enjoy wacky and over-the-top types of horror. Watching a found footage film take a Sam Raimi approach may be the greatest technique that I've seen this subgenre utilize, and exactly what the found footage genre needed. I would definitely check this one out if you have access to Shudder.